but I do make that assumption.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Improperly Packaged, a show where we unbox topics related to movies, TV, games, whatever, really. I don't know. My name is Jordan. With me is Luke. How are you doing, Luke?
Doing well.
Oh,
I'm here for the thing.
yeah, we are here 1 week and change away from Christmas Day, where everyone will be gathering around the tree and watching Wonder Woman.
And all the Christmas cheer that will bring.
Maybe
I
some
hope
soul.
and assume.
Yeah, I hope. I don't know. It's like, it's weird how when something comes to streaming, your expectations almost change, and like you start. I don't know. For me personally, it's like when something's coming to streaming like this, it makes me think less of. I wonder if it's good. You know what I mean? I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, how many people were returning? You may know that from the original Wonder Woman, like director, production.
Yeah, the
You know
director's
any of
coming
that?
back. I think both. It's Patty Jenkins directing still, along with I think is also producing along with Zack Snyder, who's helped produce
Hmm.
the first one too.
Hmm.
Um,
You always wonder with those producer roles.
yep.
Like I assume it must vary movie to movie what that means.
I think like
What does the word producer mean? Like, were you on a Skype call? Were you on set?
I guess it could really depend, but it could be as little. I don't know if this is the case, but it could be for Zack Snyder's case. It could be as little as, oh, you came up with what Wonder Woman was like when you did Batman v
Oh my
Superman,
gosh.
and so we have to credit you because the conceptual version of Wonder Woman that you came up with is represented here. I mean, that could be it. I mean, it could be as
I feel
simple
like
as
that
that.
should not fall under the production because that's so confusing for
Yeah.
people who like care about how much involvement he had in it.
Yeah, it's so hard to
Kind
say.
of misleading.
Yeah. It could be a giant like thing, or it could be something like they showed up and brought everyone donuts one day.
It looks like one of those movies that definitely is continuing from what came before.
Oh
So
yeah, you definitely get that sense.
it's not a movie I'm too worried about. Where like Justice League, I was worried about that movie before it came out, or Batman versus Superman. Actually, honestly, I was probably less worried that Batman vs Superman was going to be the atrocity that it ended up being.
Yeah.
I was about Justice League probably because I was conditioned to believe that DC Universe could not be good at that point.
We haven't seen such a big failure until that point. You know, it's like you assume we're like, oh my gosh, they got to make it at least good. It's got Superman, Batman. Come on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, uh-oh.
And then it's funny how your goodwill is like added up and added up over the years from these great Marvel movies. And then with one just monster of a movie, it's like, I don't believe in anything anymore.
Yeah, you lose faith really
Who
quickly.
am I? Where am I?
What are you doing,
Oh,
man? How has
Lord.
your week been so far? How was your weekend? Do anything
Good.
special?
We got our concrete poured.
Oh,
That's been exciting. That's been something that we've been planning and talking about for at least a year or so. So we're gonna have our eventually. We're not working on it right yet, but we're gonna put a roof over it, have it like a place to park, in
awesome.
the shade, out of the rain and all that. So because we have a garage in this house, but it's a 1964 garage. And I guess in 1964, everyone had cars that were the size of smart cars. Because even when we had our Camaro, which is a pretty small vehicle, like it's not the smallest, I know, like it's a little broad, muscle car, but it's still a pretty small two-door car.
Yeah.
And it was like the narrowest thing for me to fit it in there. One day I like cleaned out the garage. I'm like, I'm going to put this in the garage. Nope, never again. It's like you
Thanks
could only
for
open the door about like 6 inches and basically you just had to crawl out the window. It's like, so we basically don't have a garage. This is a utility room that we can do other
or a
stuff with.
workspace of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah, which is what I use it for. But it's like, this is not a garage and there's no reason I can make it a garage because
Yeah.
it's just not big enough. I guess if you removed every single thing we have out of there, then yes, it probably would work as a garage. But who has a garage that's completely 100% empty? I don't think anybody in this world has that.
No, I don't think so. I'd love to know the ratio of people who actually have their garage like empty in the sense where it's
Yeah,
available for a car, versus
fairly bare.
yeah, that has
What
the
bare?
minimum things you need. Your rake. It's got your rake, it's got your lawnmower, and it's
Yeah.
got your car, maybe a
I feel
washing
like
machine.
garages vary like that, don't they? It's like the hoarders who have it stacked floor to ceiling
Yeah.
from the door to the like sliding door.
Yeah.
And then there's like most people who just they're not hoarders, but they have, they got stuff in there. It's a storage room and maybe they can get their car in depending on or maybe they can't. It's like
Yeah.
either way. And then there's like those people who are like meticulous and have it like they have a few things, but they're like neatly hung on the wall and beautiful, and props to those people.
The house that
We
I
all aspire to be them.
absolutely. The house that I grew up in, my mom was pretty good at keeping her garage reasonably clear. I remember like a lot of the rollerblading that I had got done was within the garage, just skating around in a circle. So, thanks mom for keeping a clear garage for me.
You've lived in many a home, Jordan, though. You've seen many a layout,
I've
many
seen a
a
lot of
garage.
garages. Yeah.
You've lived in some cool spots.
Yeah, I guess that's a feature, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's some. I know there's a lot of annoying things about moving. We've both done our share of moving, but yeah, you've lived in some cool spots. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
props to Jordan.
Hopefully I continue that trend. Hopefully I find the cool spot and I just stick there
Yep.
for a while.
The freaking Robinson style treehouse.
Oh wow, that would be something. Swiss Family Robinsons.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into it. We got a lot to talk about, so we'll go ahead and start with watching/playing. Luke, I believe you're up to start this week to talk about the things that you have been watching/playing. And I think what we will do is, since you are going to talk about Cyberpunk, we can just talk about Cyberpunk when we get there, when you bring it up, and we'll just go.
Yeah, many things to talk about.
Absolutely.
So /listening to.
Listening to.
I've liked a bunch of stuff, so it's you know what? We should mention one thing. Because it's the end of the year, Spotify put out their thing that like it's like the rewind for the year for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And my God, I've listened to a lot of music and I can't find it anymore. They've hidden it from me. But I think I had something like 22,000 hours listened to this year.
Damn.
Or maybe it was 2,000.
22,000.
It was many, many hours. And I had something like 1,100 separate artists listen to. I've enjoyed my year with Spotify and listening to music. So
Absolutely. I love that feature too. They came up with some really strange genres that I don't understand when they try to describe what I listen to. Something like stuff
they
I'm
said
like,
I listened to like 900 different genres. I'm like, what?
there are 900 different
That's
genres.
Made up. That's made up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not real. My top listened to song, Jordan, you'll appreciate this, is House in the Trees.
Oh, wow. Very good. That's a good choice. That's an excellent song.
A good song. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I want to recommend, but I'm going to pick one because I think it's interesting. So Joe Curry, Carey?
No.
Stranger Things? Curry? Is that how you say it? Do you know?
I don't know.
It's Keery, so I'm going to go with Curry. Carey. I don't know. He is also does music. He's also an artist. His band, which I think it's practically a solo project. I was like reading on like who he collaborates with. He's got like a couple friends who it sounds like really help him out with stuff, but like it said like a lot of the instruments are done by him and like songs are written by him, arrangements are done by him. So I would say it's pretty much Joe Curry's thing. So his band name is DJO. I don't know if he says that to Joe or something. I don't know, but I assume it's DJO. It's weird because it's D capital lowercase j lowercase o. So the Joe, I don't know. D Joe. I guess maybe it's for Joe. Like I don't know. Weird. But he his music's pretty good. I enjoy it. He posted on Instagram that like his music was getting some radio play. I think on like BBC Radio, I guess in the UK.
Huh.
Keep Your Head Up was the song that was playing over there. And yeah, it's a good song. I enjoyed it. I've listened to a few other songs. He doesn't have a lot of people following him. Like his top song
Interesting.
is Roddy, and it has like 14 million plays,
Yeah,
which
it's a lot.
it's yeah, it sounds like
It's
a
a lot.
lot,
It is a lot.
but for like, the bigger artists, it's not that much.
For a Billie Eilish, it is measly. But
Yeah. So yeah, listen to him. He's got this interesting like electronic, got like some brass instruments in there.
I did not
I
know
don't
he
know
was a
what this
musician.
like genre is that's like popular. It's somewhere between like dance music and pop music and electronic. It's like a mix of all three of those things. There's a lot of bands I hear,
A
but
lot of
he
that.
falls like right in there where it's like dancey and very poppy lyrics, and
Yeah,
definitely has like a jazzy feel. And I love jazz music, so I like anything that incorporates jazz instruments.
for those unaware, this is Steve from Stranger
Yeah.
Things, the actor who
Mhm.
plays Steve.
You'd know him. He's
Oh,
the
yeah.
ice cream guy.
Ice Cream Boy.
He's dishing out the Sundays.
Yeah.
What you been listening to, Jordan?
I've been Christmasing it up, of course. So, look at me. I got all my Christmas
Just
stuff.
look
Got
at
my
you.
eggnog. I'm just having a time here. But something I wanted to recommend is the Christmas EP by Rookie of the Year, which is our buddy Stevie's band. They came out with an EP. It's a Christmas EP, obviously, and it's gorgeous. It's very lovely and very beautiful, and it's just great for this time of year. Stevie plays guitar in that band, and he's so talented. And so, yeah, check it out. Great. It's a great EP. Great for the holidays for sure. So, yeah, check out Rookie of the Year.
Was Stevie always in Rookie of the Year?
He's been in Rookie of the Year for a good while now. I'll say that, and I know he was, for a few years at least, from what I can.
But he may not have been a founding member.
No, I don't think so. But
That's
he's
awesome.
Been doing it for a while, so yeah,
Good for him.
Very cool.
I saw him post that. I'm keep meaning to listen to it. I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah, quite good.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Props to anyone who brings out Christmas music. We need much more.
I don't know what that was, but yeah.
So we watched another Christmas movie. We've been watching a lot of like Christmas episodes of like The Office and Schitt's Creek. No, not Schitt's Creek. I don't have Christmas stuff. But The Office and what was it? I watched the weird episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, the claymation.
The Christmas Carol. No, not that one. That's the new
one.
This is another one. They do like the Christmas Carol. Yeah, that show's like I'm always like mixed on it. It's like I think a lot of things are funny, and then other things it's like, oh my god,
you feel a little dirty.
It's like shaking your head, like this is so ridiculous. Especially Danny DeVito. He's just a disgusting person in that movie, and he like leans into it. Every season he leans into it even more. It's funny, but then it's also just like cringy, and that's what he's going for.
That show goes and goes, man. It just got renewed for 4 more seasons or something like that. Holy crap, it's long.
Yeah. Should it have? I don't know. Maybe. I enjoy it. There's good things about it, but yeah, it's ridiculous. But I didn't even mean to talk about that. But we've been watching some Christmas stuff, and there's one movie that Bethany and I just seem to always want to watch, and it's I'll Be Home for Christmas. Mr. JTT, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and yeah, we watched that again, and it's just a great one. Jessica Biel.
And it's ultra
classic,
mid late 90s. It is right there. It's got the NSYNC song and everything.
It's got the guy from Napoleon Dynamite, his uncle. That's probably his best known role. Is
right.
JTT's dad in the movie.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was trying to talk and type in the computer, which is pretty difficult. Yeah, 1998.
Yep.
Great. So if you haven't seen that one, that's one that I don't feel like people talk about, but for me it's right up there with like Elf and Christmas Vacation, and I'm not saying either one is better. I think they're all kind of the same, like good quality. But yeah, it's like no, I don't know why everyone loves Christmas Vacation, and I'm right there. I love it too. But
Hmm.
I'll Be Home for Christmas is good quality family fun, silly comedy,
Hmm.
movie. So I don't know why it's not up there. Like I love me some Elf, believe me. We talked about it last week, but yeah, this movie's great too.
Yeah.
He goes off to college and then he's got to come across the country before 6 o'clock Christmas Eve to get the Porsche from his dad. And
Oh, the Porsche. That's right.
it's just a good setup, it sets up for a lot of good funny stuff.
Hmm.
Reminds me a little bit of a Rat Race, how it's just like all these ridiculous situations they
Yeah, it's
get
like
into on this trip.
an unwanted road trip kind of movie. It's
Yeah.
a lot of entertainment value there.
And Jessica Biel is just, yeah, she was so good when she was young. She's just this warm presence. Um,
Yeah.
really, I enjoyed her. I mean, she's still a good actress, but I really enjoyed her when she was younger. She had this like likable personality. Anyways,
Hmm.
we watched this other thing that I do not like as much. This
Hmm.
is a weird thing. Amazon Music Holiday Plays. So they're doing like these, I don't know, they call them holiday plays. I don't know what to think of them. They're weird.
What?
So it's like, at least this one, I don't know what the rest of them are, but Little Nas X is like the host, and he does a song right at the beginning. This is the Old Town Road artist, so he's
Yeah.
he's new to the music scene. Um, he had Miley Cyrus on as his like featured guest. So basically, it was Little Nas X does a song, and it's like one of his normal songs, from what I remember. It's not a Christmas song, but there's like all Christmas background, and he's dressed up. I don't even know how to describe what he's dressed up as. He's got like white hair, like this blue, almost robotic looking out. It's so strange.
What in the world?
Just one of those artists that's like, it seems like you're just trying to get attention with your outfit. And he's got even like the lenses over his eyes that make his like pupils look weird. It's so
What?
strange, but
So
it,
what
it
is
didn't feel
this?
like it had anything to do with Christmas. So then Miley Cyrus comes on, and so they do these little things in between where they're like talking and like reading fan letters, and like she's answering questions from fans. None of these things really have anything to do with Christmas. I think one time they asked like, "What do you do for Christmas?" And she said something about how like at all Christmas times, no matter how busy I am, I make sure to get home for it so I can spend time with my family. And that's all fine. If it was stuff like that, I'd be like, great, it's Christmas stuff. But she sings her new song. I think her new album's like Plastic Hearts. She's just singing like the three or four like, EP hits that she like has on that album. But it's
Yeah.
like all in a Christmas background. But she's dressed up like she normally is at this moment. You know how she's changed her styles like three or four times at this point. She, she's in this like 80s like rock girl style with the like blonde wig. It's just the weirdest thing. Like she's not dressed like Christmas at all, and she sings all her normal songs. And then I think at the very end, I think she sang one Christmas song. It was the strangest thing. It felt like a
Yeah.
waste of 40 minutes of my life,
Sounds like
honestly.
something their record label put together to promote their stuff under the guise of a
Yeah.
Christmas special. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I could get that. Like I'd be fine with that, but just don't call it like holiday.
Yeah.
Like just call it Amazon Music Play and just like leave out the holiday stuff. Like don't make me think it's a Christmas thing. Yeah, anyways, don't watch that.
No, I haven't
So,
seen it, but I'll agree.
um, so a thing let me just bring this page up before I start talking about this. Um, so Amazon just came out with a new movie. It doesn't have anything to do with Christmas, but I really enjoyed it. It's really good. It's starring Rachel Brosnahan. It's called I'm Your Woman from Amazon, and
I'm
they're
your
making
woman.
like a big media push right now. There's like a lot of advertising I've seen. It's funny, like I go to IMDb and it is the advertised thing on IMDb, and so yeah, I really enjoyed this. There's a lot of people in this movie that I don't especially know. Like I kind of recognize them as like maybe they were side characters in some other stuff I watched,
Hmm.
but all great actors and actresses across the board, really. Rachel Brosnahan. I know her from House of Cards. That's how I got to know her. And
Okay.
of course, she's gotten really big now because of what is the name of her show? The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Of course, that's blown up a lot.
Oh yeah.
She's what had how many seasons? Like 4 seasons now of that show, 3 or 4.
Wow, already.
So, yeah, I already knew she was good, and when I saw that she was in it, it was like, okay, I'll give this a try, and
Mhm.
I'm really glad I did. It's set in the 1970s. I always think it's cool when stuff is set in that kind of time period, 60s, 70s, 80s. Just a cool Americana like time. And she's like, yeah, I don't know how much to say. There's a lot of stuff that if you start talking about it, it really kind of ruins it, I would say. So it's very interesting the way it's filmed and the way the story like plays itself out. You're very much like in the dark on what's going on, where the story is going to head towards, and there's a lot of like kind of twists and turns as you find out who's who and what's going on and what's going to happen and what's the goal. And yeah, a lot of cool things. It's filmed very similar to The Graduate.
Oh, okay.
How The Graduate would have these shots where it's like one person would be like sitting by a pool or something, and it would like
Yeah.
slowly pan out to like show like the surrounding like houses and neighborhoods. Yeah, it's like right at the beginning you see that and it's like, wow, that is very Graduate esque. I guess somebody liked that movie.
Ponderous shots, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so just super high quality. This was a reminder to me of how far we've come with streaming media
Mm.
and just what a different landscape it is. Because this kind of quality, I feel like would only really see in theaters, say, 5 to, I don't know, 10 years ago. It was something that, and it would be hard to find, because this would not appeal to a large audience. But somebody who just enjoys film like you and I think would really enjoy a movie like this. And
Mm.
got a really cool story to tell, really cool, very unique in many ways. So yeah, just a great Amazon original.
I'll have to give it a whirl. It looks really good. It sounds really cool. I read a little bit of the synopsis. Looks like it's sounds like
Yeah,
a good
very
time.
interesting. Yeah, mysterious kind of movie.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess next up.
I also played like some FIFA.
Oh,
So I've been playing that.
really? I'm surprised. How's that been? You've played FIFA in the past, but it's not been a
Yeah,
big mainstay for
haven't
you.
played one in a long time. It used to be something I played a lot more when our friend Andrew and Joe were, closer to us or living
Mm-hmm.
in our same town. When we'd get together, we'd have fun like playing some co-op FIFA. So I haven't played it a lot since then.
It's like
Just
PS2 or Xbox 360. What we're talking
yeah,
about
the
here.
last one was an Xbox One. Joe lived here for a little while, and
Mm.
we like got together I think like twice or whatever and played it. And but yeah, I went back to it. There's this cool thing where you start off as a made up player, and you just pick your favorite. You can pick whatever league. I enjoy the Premiership League, which is basically the British soccer league. And so I'm a big Manchester United fan, so I pick them. And you start off as this just whoever with like an average score, and you do like training on your off days, and then if you get picked for the starting lineup, you get to play as that player.
Mm.
You can play as the whole team. I choose to play as just my player. So like I'm working myself into position to get passes and just doing what I would do if I was out, playing a real game. So it's kind of unique to play a like full 11-man sport but only control one person.
Yeah, of course.
Like the computer controls it all the rest of it. So
Yep.
I've been enjoying that. Not a lot to say about that, but it's FIFA 20, which FIFA 21 just came out, but FIFA 20 is on the EA Play on Game Pass. So
I hear there hasn't been like a
heck yeah,
ton of stuff added, like the 21 from 20. So I'm sure you're getting a
yeah.
pretty similar experience.
Um,
I figured, I know we're going to talk about Cyberpunk. I figure that can be like the last thing we talk about rolling into topics, I guess, because it's a topic in and of itself. Also, you've been playing
there's
it.
just
So.
too much to talk about this week, Jordan.
There really is. There's a lot to talk about. I'll try to be relatively quick here. I've been jumping as far as what I've been playing. I've been jumping around a lot. Like I've been jumping between. Been playing Haven on Xbox. That was a Game Pass game.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. I'm still kind of unraveling what it is. It's a very story and
Is
dialogue
that an
heavy.
ID at Xbox game?
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe. I'm not actually sure about that.
Definitely, maybe.
Definitely maybe the movie. Um, but it's like it's basically you're a couple, boyfriend girlfriend who seem to have run away from their home planet, so they could stay together, and they're just trapped on a planet, and they have to basically try to survive, or get off. I don't know, and it's very heavy on dialogue. And I'm still kind of unraveling what the game is. I've only played it for a few hours. I've been jumping back between that Jedi Fallen Order, which I'm enjoying very much. The opening is great.
Really good game.
That opening, it almost, the opening was almost too good because I kind of wanted the entire game to be like that because it was super tense. It almost had like this feeling where you're on the run and you're just like you don't want to be discovered. But as the game kind of goes on, you're more of like a soldier in the fight and kind of there to fight, and you're on board instead of like I gotta stay away from being discovered. But either way, even when you get outside of that stuff, it's very fun. It's great to have.
It's very much Tomb Raider the game, isn't it?
Oh, there's a lot of
Star
that.
Wars game. I mean,
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that feeling when going into it. The combat's a lot more challenging.
not a bad thing. It's just
No, but
it's definitely a dungeon game.
yeah, the combat
Tomb raiding game.
yeah, you're raiding some tombs. The combat's pretty challenging actually.
Yeah.
Very much multi-managing enemies based on what they are, what they're going to do. You have to read them. You can't just hack and slash away like something like Force Unleashed. You have to watch them, be like, okay, I have to parry here. I have to make sure to like dodge this guy.
Force powers.
Use my force powers here. Knock this guy back so I can deal with this guy who's a bigger threat. There's some thinking that has to be done. And so, yeah, I mean, it's great. And so playing that, I'm also playing a Mortal Kombat 11. That was on sale, and I'm going through the story mode, which it's just so great that Never Realms. Am I saying that right? Whatever. Either way, that they're doing these
Nether.
Thank you.
Nether Realm. Yeah.
That they've been doing these story modes for their fighting games. That started with Mortal Kombat 9, and it was just so high quality, and it just kept going with their Injustice and through Mortal Kombat X and now 11. And they're just so fun. It's just such a high quality in a story mode in a fighting game that I've just not yet seen. And yeah, the game's gorgeous and it's fun. It's Mortal Kombat. And I'm still playing Spider-Man Remastered. Okay, so watching some Christmas stuff. I'm just gonna run down these real quick. The new stuff first. So Netflix. I promise I'm gonna watch some Netflix stuff. So yeah, here we go. I watched Jingle Jangle. Yeah, Jingle Jangle is a Christmas.
Quite a name.
Yeah, quite a name. It sounds like a Broadway show or something, but it is a musical starring Forrest Whitaker and Keegan-Michael Key are the only people I really recognize from it. It's basically just about like fantastical world where there's this toy inventor and he has a rival with Keegan-Michael Key's character, and there's some kid who comes along and helps out. I don't know about this one. I thought I was gonna really enjoy it because I'm like, oh, it's Christmas, it's a musical, it's got people I like, it looks pretty good. No, I really didn't like it. Had a really high rating on Rotten Tomato, like in the 90s. I don't know. I wasn't feeling this one. I mean,
69 on Metascore.
Okay, that's a lot more what I would anticipate after have seen it. I mean, because it has some like good production value. It looks great, and there's some good songs here and there. But it's one of those things where it's so when something is so fantastical, where I'm like, there's no rules. There's no rules. Well, I feel like anything can happen and anything does. They'll introduce something crazy that happens midway through, and it happens, and then they just keep introducing crap, and I'm just like, I have nothing to latch on to here. I'm just a leaf in the wind.
We watched the I keep thinking of things we watch. We also watched the Mariah Carey Christmas special, and I would definitely describe it the same way you just did. It's just like, this is ridiculous.
What's happening here?
It's just so fantastical, and it feels like the entire thing's filmed behind with the green screen behind everything. It's like, okay, this is too much.
And like, it's Christmas. I'll buy a lot. Like, honestly, I will be like, whatever. I'll take whatever you give me, but give me something. Like, and so I don't know. I wasn't crazy about Jingle Jangle, but and so much so that I was like, is my Christmaser broken? Am I only good for like new stuff, the stuff I've already seen, stuff I've already bought into? But no, I watched
No.
Christmas Chronicles 2, and that was fine. I enjoyed that enough.
That was one I was going to say. I watched the trailer for that, and that seemed the same way. I was like, this is too much fantastical things.
And it is,
Too much.
but there's something. Okay, I'm like, okay, it's based in the real world, and there's Santa Claus. Let's see all the stuff that Santa Claus can do. There's like things like Jingle Jangle. A lot of people are like, oh, it's so creative. No, there's nothing there. It's just like we're in a crazy fantastical world with crazy fantastical rules. Pretty much anything can happen. But at least with Santa Claus, I'm like, okay, you're in the real world. We've seen other Santa Claus versions. Let's see how this one does the Santa Claus things different. And, there's a few things here and there. I'm like, oh, that's creative, where like they'll show you like how they make the candy canes. You're like, oh, that's kind of neat. And the fact that Santa Claus carries around batteries all the time. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny because in all the toys that have batteries not included. Okay. There's stuff there, but I'm like, that's creative to me. Not that Christmas Chronicles 2 is amazing. It's fine, but I'm saying it has some redeeming elements, and I'm like, okay, I can latch onto this. Weird thing about this, though, I needed to bring up.
See, Metascore gave it a 51.
Yeah,
Funny.
I don't know. There's just something there, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. I just don't see what anyone sees really in Jingle Jangle, to be honest. I don't know.
Nothing wrong with disagreeing with Metascore, Jordan.
Yeah. Something weird about Christmas Chronicles I found hilarious. In this movie, it's Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn or whatever, but oddly enough, Tyrese Gibson is in that movie.
Yeah,
for
I
all
saw that
of
in the trailer. I'm like, Tyrese?
Exactly. Watching the movie, I had that exact same reaction. I was like, Tyrese? And he's in it for like 15 minutes.
2 Christmas, 2 Chronicles.
It's so strange because like he just plays the role of, oh, I'm the dad, and the new dad who comes along, or the new boyfriend, and the daughter isn't really buying it or whatever and doesn't treat him fairly, but he's so nice, and he's only in it for like literally like 15 minutes. I'm like, who did you know?
Holly jolly, our stockings ain't full, bro.
I just wonder, like, who did he know on set to be like, hey, can you show up for a day?
I mean, Kurt Russell, man, they are tight.
Maybe.
I bet he knows a lot of people, honestly. He's been around for a long time.
Kurt Russell, I will say he's a good Santa. I like him as Santa. He's different. He has a great outfit, but he like really is into it. And I really I think he's a good addition to the pantheon of all the different Santas.
His beard is one of the best.
It's really good. That's a good one.
Massive beard. Wonder if it's real.
I don't know.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But it looks real.
That's what matters the most. It's as much you can ask for Santa Claus sometimes.
Yeah.
Hope there's no kids watching or listening to it. But anyways.
We're just talking about on-screen representations of what is in the real world, kids.
Yes, kids. Listen to your Uncle Luke.
We know that all this on-screen stuff has nothing to do with the real world. It's just representative of the real Santa.
Of course. Other than that, a couple quick ones that I've seen before. Just Friends. That one gets forgotten a lot. I think it's like it does itself a disservice by disattaching itself to Christmas by going beyond it a little bit at the end into New Year's. But most of the time it's Christmas. You got Caroler in every scene almost, and check it out if you're looking for something different to watch for Christmas. It totally fits the bill, and it's hilarious. You've seen this one, right? With Ryan Reynolds, Anna Faris.
I was reading what I was going to talk about next. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Which movie?
Just Friends.
That's funny. Last night we were actually thinking we should watch Just Friends. I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, so we watched what we watched anyways.
Well, I resorted to buying it on Vudu because I could not find it either. So go nuts.
Yeah, we got that hookup. I have it on DVD, and I'm like, I'm not going upstairs to find my DVD and
fiddle with that. Your Xbox Series X will spit that DVD out. It does not want any of that in itself. It is like,
I can play it, but I won't. That's
It's
what it
like
tells me.
what is this? Is this a 4K Blu-ray? No, maybe it's just a Blu-ray DVD.
Not enough bits. Not enough bits.
Other than that, we watched The Family Man. This is a kind of fringe one.
I love that
think.
movie.
It is a great one.
I think that's a forgotten Christmas movie.
I agree. After watching it this time, I'm like,
I think it's one of Nick Cage's best movies too.
Tay Leone, Nick Cage, they're both great in that movie. They're really freaking good. And it's touching. It really is touching. And what I think
He's
of
so
it.
lovable.
Oh yeah.
Which is so important for how that movie goes.
The Family Man is a reverse It's a Wonderful Life. It's like a take on It's a Wonderful Life, but it's like in the reverse. It's like, okay, this is the world with you. This is you in the world you could have had. Not let me show you a world without you, because you're living that world. You're living that life.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And you know, it's got all those elements in it, and it's got all those lessons too. It's very good. I very much enjoy it. But yeah, we watched that last night. We watched both those movies last night.
It's such an interesting idea now that you think about that, because it shows him both sides. It shows him this is the successful life that you have, but then this is also the successful life that you could have had. So it's like, which is more valuable? It honestly does. It teaches a different lesson. That's what's so unique about it than It's a Wonderful Life. A Wonderful Life is like, life is important and family is important, but it's like, what is important about life and family is what like The Family Man's about. Yeah.
Like all those things.
I love those movies that encourage people like just to live better.
It also has the thing where, so he runs the tire shop, and he runs it because his wife's father had a heart attack. So very similar to how Mr. Bailey had the stroke and died, and he had to take over the Bailey and Loans.
Barry Bailey.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Yeah, Family Man. It's streaming on HBO, HBO Max. If anyone out there is looking as to where they can watch it, you might be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that would be one of my favorite Nick Cage movies, because he's made some good ones, but it's such a warm movie. He's
genuinely very good in it, and him and Tay Leone just give out great performances. It's it's good. So let's let's get into it. So Luke, today you just started playing Cyberpunk. We could talk about go ahead.
I did.
You want to go ahead with your impressions? We can talk about the controversies, the news, and all that stuff. But I want to hear.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's I think it's the delay on the internet.
Oh, sorry about that.
I was just gonna say that finally the chains of my internet provider have been released, and I could finally download this game. I of course I'd been wanting to play it for months and months. I mean, maybe more than a year now. But yeah, they were saying on the podcast I was listening to today that game was announced in 2012. That's crazy. I wonder what. Yeah, I think we've talked about this before. I wonder what the longest like announced game to when it's finally released is. I'm sure that's nowhere close to it, but still, that's a really long time.
That's a long time.
So yeah, there's been a lot of talk about this game. Probably easily the most anticipated game of the year, I would say. Most talked about game, if not anticipated.
Yeah.
And I mean, I see why it's so hotly anticipated. It's got a lot of depth. It's it's a very dense game with a lot going on, and I bet they worked all 8 years to create this world, because there is so much in this world. It's the exact opposite of what I said about Need for Speed Heat. One of the biggest things, it's like you can feel with like a game like Need for Speed Heat that it was just like, they spent some time on the cars and like the racing, but the world was slapped together with duct tape and broomsticks and I don't know, cardboard. It's like there's nothing there. And yeah, Cyberpunk, it's really cool. It's very much, in that same realm as when you come into GTA 5 for the first time. It's got all this interacting you can do with all kinds of people. It really opens up. I mean, it's got a structured story, and there's like 3 main character models that you can follow. I started with Nomad, so I started outside the city as this person that like moves goods for people, and then the story moves me in, and then I join up with a clan, and I'm like working through different
Hmm.
missions and stuff. And yeah, just really interesting how I can definitely tell that the story would be very different if I had chosen one of the other two roles. There's like street kid, nomad. I can't remember the technical term, but it's something like corporate.
Corpo or whatever.
Yeah, some kind of corporate big shot. Basically, you're the head of like a big business. So I can see how you would be up in the ivory towers and rolling around these expensive cars and stuff. And my role is kind of somewhere in between, where I have money, I have resources. I'm not the street kid that's like starting at the bottom and like working his way up. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm doing okay, but I have to like work for what I have. Yeah, the I will say the player like creator, if you want to call it that,
Hmm.
is definitely going to be talked about for sure.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I can see like any review site that's like whether or not your kids should be able to play Cyberpunk. No, your kids should not be able to play
No.
Cyberpunk. So in the player creator, your character is fully nude and you are changing their genitalia. And so yeah, it's everything that comes with that. Just absolutely nude in every way you can be nude.
I'll reveal this
I
now.
don't think I've ever seen one where you can do that.
No. I'll go ahead and reveal this. I did play for about an hour today.
I
You
saw
bought
that.
this, so I popped it on the Xbox Series S.
Yeah.
So yeah, did you decide to have genitalia or not?
I did. I was a female.
Okay.
Yeah, I chose a female, so I just went with the classic setup.
Classic setup. Yeah. Okay, so this is gonna sound weird. I chose not to. Not that it said like
Yeah.
it just said turn it off. And I was like, no, I don't want to turn it off. Now I kind of wish I did, because when you go into
Yeah.
the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a
I
kid
think there's
doll.
I think there's a glitch actually. I know that there's been a lot of reported problems with this game, but one of the glitches I noticed is I'll be fully clothed and then I'll go over to the mirror and it'll like remove my pants.
I thought so.
And I go
Okay.
into the thing, I'm like, at what point did I take off my pants? I'm like, nope, I have my pants on. So when I go back out of the
Yeah.
menu, I have pants on. So it's like, what?
Like I went into my apartment, I was like, was I nude this whole time? And then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I'm naked. I might as well take a shower. And I start taking a shower. I'm like, I have clothes on.
Kind of weird. You just like lean up
I
against the
know.
wall.
Isn't that how you take a shower?
Like,
Mm.
like I'm pretty sure that would not get you clean in any way.
You know, just post up.
Just let water rinse over your face for 20 minutes. So yeah, I can definitely tell this is a last gen game. There's been a lot of talk about this, and I'm gonna voice a little bit of opinions. I've been talking about this, but so it's like 59 gigs or something,
Yeah.
which to me was kind of surprising because
Yeah.
used to games even that were Xbox One games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare was like 120 gigs or more. And of course, Black Ops was the same way. And Black Ops, I would say, is pretty much a full next gen game. I mean, it every game that's coming out right now is kind of, if it's not Miles Morales, which is still a smaller game,
Hmm.
but Miles Morales was like a PS5 game. But apart from that, there's not really any games that are like this is a next gen game.
Definitively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more like this is the next gen version of this game.
Mhm.
And you can definitely feel that. I like when you look in the mirror, for example, the just like your face is just not very crisp. And you can definitely
Yeah.
tell that when you're in 4K HDR. You've been playing stuff like Black Ops. Um, you've seen, what the 4K up-resed graphics are. Like even Modern Warfare, when I jump back in after like getting the high-res models, it's like, wow, this is crazy different. Like just looking at the weapons, I'm like, this is 4K. Like I can
Yeah.
tell.
Hmm.
And Cyberpunk is definitely not that. You can tell this was made for Xbox One. So the comment I wanted to say about that little fact is I think I'm going to start admitting that you may have been right, Jordan.
Got what?
So the whole thing before both consoles came out was Xbox was pushing the fact that there's no reason developers can't develop games to the top model and then scale them down to the lower models. And I think That was a great idea, and I think maybe that can be done. But I'm starting to have my doubts about it because this right here is, however long, 8 year. I mean, if it was announced 2012, maybe they were working on it before that. So
Yeah.
God knows, maybe a 10-year game. But this has been developed for the Xbox One now for a long, long, long time through its whole generation. So
Mm-hmm.
you would think that this would be the ultimate showcase for what the Xbox One can do. But the simple fact of the matter is it's almost unplayable on an Xbox One, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And I assume it's probably the same thing on a PS4.
Mm-hmm.
Basically have to have an Xbox One X to play it on the last gen with some efficiency without apparently dropping down to close to 10 frames per second when there's intense like driving scenes where there's a lot of things going on, which is just completely unacceptable. You can't sell a game that can do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know you guys delayed over and over again trying to like make it work, but the fact that you can't play the Xbox One version of this game on an Xbox One is just unforgivable. Like, you and I don't know anything about this because we're playing on next gen hardware. We have all the horsepower we need to play this game. And but if I was stuck on an Xbox One, especially if I'd been trying to buy an Xbox Series X or PS5 and I just couldn't because they're all sold out all the time right now, I'd be infuriated. It's like
Yeah.
I've been waiting to play this game, and this game was going to come out in what, March, April? So this would have been 6, 7 months of us playing this broken game. It's like, thank God for that they delayed this thing, because that would have sunk them, honestly. Who would have
Yeah.
come back to that game if it came out in that state?
Mm.
From what I understand, it sounds like it's worse than Fallout 4,
Yeah. I mean, and
which was really bad.
the fact
So
that so many people who missed out on next gen hardware were able to kind of sit there and say, at least I can play Cyberpunk 2077, and then this is what they get. That is,
yeah, I mean, we haven't experienced it, so we don't know, but it
yeah,
sounds terrible.
that's awful. I mean, we can talk about this more, but I'll talk about a little bit of even my experience. I mean, you're playing on the Series X.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, I've actually studied a little bit about this. I've watched Digital Foundry's videos. They've come out with so many videos. There's a lot to talk about on the technical end. From what I've seen, it's like, next gen consoles, PS5 and Xbox Series X are the best ways to play this game. Xbox Series X, from what I've seen, probably has the best of all the home consoles to play this game. I'm playing on Series S. Series S is kind of an in-between. It is kind of like, has the same kind of look as, say, the PlayStation 4 Pro maybe had. Maybe this, I don't think even the Xbox One X, but it has stability because the CPU. And so all those insanely bad frame rate dips, it's not something I will experience or have experienced on the Series S. So it's playable. It's a playable experience, but I do get that feeling when playing the game. It's like I'm almost like a Switch port.
Yeah.
Obviously it looks
I
better
listened the most recent version of the Xbox podcast I listened to had the Digital Foundry guy on it talking about it. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
unacceptable.
Wild. I don't know. I can't recall the last time something in the video game industry, something of this magnitude, has happened in many different ways. One, a game this anticipated have something like this happen at launch. Also, a game where the PC version looks that much better. Like, a lot of times oh my gosh, the PC version looks so great, and that's usually true, and continues to be true, but
it definitely shouldn't be when you have consoles that are like right up there with the top PC specs.
And to be like it's a different game, to be like this doesn't feel like the same game.
Yeah,
that is.
I saw the graphics comparison. It was insane. Like, and I even noticed it
Yeah.
when I was playing today. There's like this one scene where going into this area to raid this place, and the whole left wall is like trash, but it's like the same trash bag over and over again, and it's like very simplistic, like simple graphics. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it looks like somebody copied and pasted that over and over again. What are you doing? Like, it just in a place where it's like that this is going to be in this story mode. If it was in like some random corner that I just found, but it's like I'm walking up to the door that I'm like going into this like main area where I'm going to have to like confront all these baddies, and the whole left wall is like this ugly looking thing.
Yeah.
It's guys, like if you're going to work on anything, work on that.
I know. And it's so sad because you have the PC version out there, and it like does look gorgeous even though it has its bugs, and everyone's seen that version and everyone says, "Holy crap, that looks amazing. Let's go." And they put in their game
Yeah,
and
it sounds like
holy.
the next gen version is just going to be that. It's like, why can't that work now?
Yeah.
There obviously is a reason, but
And they're not even
so
talking about
frustrating.
that at this point. It's like it's almost like you see the trailer in 4K. You see the trailer of this movie in 4K, and then like if you have a base console, you have a VHS tape where the tracking is off
Yeah.
and it barely runs and you miss a bunch of parts and it's like, "Oh crap." And then if you have like maybe next gen version, maybe you have a working DVD or a Blu-ray or something like that. But you're
Yeah.
like, "Wow, this looks great," but not it's a different thing than that.
Especially when you're playing it. It's like your thing can play the 4K HDR, but you're forced to watch it on
Yeah.
DVD. And it's like, I know what I could be getting right now.
Absolutely. And you
So,
see, and because you saw that thing, you see the
yeah.
amazing game and the
And
beautiful
then you
game
see people
underneath.
online posting their PC version. It's like, why?
Ugh.
Just bought this.
Yeah. And it's great. Yeah, you'll get this one day. And you know what? I am sure that one day this game will be amazing. But man, what a
But it
way to
might be too
start.
late.
Yeah, it might be too late for a lot of people.
Game like this, you finish the story. You really going to go back and play it again?
Yeah.
Some people will, but I bet 70% of people won't.
And so many people are so
I
burned.
probably won't when it's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
It's a really cool game. I mean, I'm gonna put some time in this game for
Hmm.
sure. Like I really like this game. It's what I wanted. It's what I've been looking for. It's what we had been saying. Like The Witcher was a game that I thought was awesome. Excuse me. The Witcher was a game that I thought was just awesome, but never got me in a way that made me want to just keep coming back and playing and playing. But this is that version of The Witcher that I wanted to. It's funny. I'm saying that and I'm thinking how you and I have had that same line of thinking with the Bethesda games where we've always said like Fallout is so cool. We love Fallout, but it's no Skyrim.
Yeah.
And we always are looking forward to the next Skyrim, the next Elder Scrolls. And this is fun. It's funny. This feels the opposite way. I really enjoy this world a lot better than I enjoy the Witcher world,
Mhm.
which was really cool. But I don't know why. I didn't enjoy CD Projekt's Red's version of the fantastical world as much as I enjoy this more futuristic version. But it also might be because it's so different than so many of these other future worlds. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
this post-apocalyptic. I mean, it is in a sort of way, but it really is this more just like progressive technology focused world, which is kind of unique. Um,
Definitely. And there's a unique amount of immersion there, like even in like a first person shooter game, there's a unique
mhm,
amount of immersion where like sometimes you'll be extra close to an object. There'll be like a scene where it's like you sit down and you just feel really close to everything. You feel
mhm,
really immersed into the to the where you are. And there's a few moments where even though I feel like I am playing a downscaled version of the game. I just do. But even though there's a couple parts where I was like, wow, this is cool. It was the
mhm,
moment where you're going up the elevator for the first time into your apartment and you
mhm,
see the outside going up and you're just like, wow, this feels legitimate. And then you see the TV playing in there at the same time as that. I'm like, wow. And there's a
mhm.
bit of me there. I'm like, I understand. Like I'm not excusing them, but I understand this is ambitious as can be. This is big. I just wish it was
But
there.
they've had so many years. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
I can understand if they were pushed for time, but it's like you had so many years. I can't help but think with this kind of thing, Halo Infinite, it just has to come down to mismanagement. People
Yeah.
not using their time because eight or more years is so much time. There's just nothing you can't accomplish with the kind of budget I assume they probably had with as much success as they've had with The Witcher. They had to have enough of a budget to do what they wanted to do,
Yeah.
but it just seems like they weren't quite able to bring it across the finish line. I mean, I think they still have a great game that's going to do really well. It's just disappointing that it didn't quite hit where it should have. It didn't have a next gen version and they didn't patch the bugs that they needed to patch. Hopefully they can catch up with that soon so that the bad will, can be stymied here
Mm-hmm.
quick enough to, maybe recover some of that goodwill. So
The funny thing is
we'll see
like,
their response.
yeah, I mean, we will see. It's going to take a lot. And I think like right now they haven't done enough. I mean, we'll talk about it. Like right now, it seems like I've heard people say, oh, people are mixed on this game. I'm like, no, I don't think anyone is. I think everyone recognizes that even if you have a crappy version of the game, is a good game underneath, or like this is a good product. You just might have some horrible version of it, which is
if you don't
unexcusable.
like this game, then you weren't going to like Cyberpunk in any state.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, this is what they told us we were going to get. There's glitches, there's not the 4K HDR that we wish there was, but this is Cyberpunk.
Mhm.
This is what you showed. This is what the trailers got us all excited about. So, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Just also with a little bit of disappointment.
Yeah, and if you have the last, like the base PS4, the base Xbox One,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
That's the biggest thing. I'm a little disappointed, but my game's running just fine.
Yeah, you get
The
to
fact
play
that
the
I
game.
look in the mirror and I don't have pants on, it's not a big deal.
Yes.
It's just a stupid thing that I need to make sure not do when my 3-year-old nephew's here.
Yeah, I mean,
I probably just shouldn't play the game because
yeah,
there's many F words in that game.
definitely. There's a lot. There's a very adult as can be a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, okay, so CD Projekt Red came out with an apology today, sort of. All right, it was basically. I'm gonna summarize. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but basically it reads, "Hey, we're sorry we didn't show you the base console versions prior to launch, because as everyone knows, basically what they did. Everyone who reviewed the game,
But can you blame us?
yeah, we can." They were only allowed to play the PC games. They were only given codes for the PC version of this game.
Yeah.
And not only that, they weren't allowed in their reviews to use footage that they themselves recorded. They could only use B-roll that CD Projekt Red provided in their video reviews. That is scummy. I mean, they can apologize for that, but it really comes across as seeming like better to ask for forgiveness than permission. That's kind of what it seems like to me. The fact that they knew what they had with their PC, with their PS4 and their Xbox One versions of this game. They knew it, and they didn't want you to see until it was already out, until it was already on your systems. In your hands.
The crazy thing is that they are giving refunds, though.
They are.
That is the crazy thing. I don't know that I've heard people doing this.
Yeah, I mean they're giving refunds. I think they're like, but honestly, I feel like who is going to do it? I mean,
So that means your game is removed from your system?
Yeah.
Is that right?
If you do it digitally,
I thought they were doing a refund, but letting you keep it.
No, you have to turn in your physical copy or have your when you get a refund through either the Microsoft Store or through the PSN. Yeah, you lose access.
I didn't even know they could do that. I guess it makes sense they can.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things where it's like, I'm sorry, I already bought into this. You sold me a version of this game that doesn't exist for me.
Yeah,
and that's really, I think even though people are mixed, like they say they're mixed, I think people are honestly united in that front to say the base consoles are not any version of the game that was sold. We can play that version on Series X and PlayStation 5 and even Series S, but no, like seeing some of the stuff from like Xbox One and PS4 base consoles, it's unplayable. Like,
Yeah.
for the game to dip into the teens for large portions,
Yeah.
wildly unacceptable. That is nowhere near okay.
I guess my impression from what Xbox was trying to claim is that they were able to downsample other things in a way, but I don't know. I guess if you put so many assets on the screen, you can't have a reasonable amount of resolution and frame rate. So I guess it just has to dip to this ridiculous level. And yeah, it's very disappointing for me that we can't have it both ways.
I really wish we can. It's in PlayStation's doing the same thing. It's the developers who are saying we want to make as much money of this as possible. And so we're going to do this. And, to hell with if, the game's at its, top at its peak, and we'll just promote the best version, and people at the bottom will get just this unforgivably bad version of the game. It's just, I hope that is not the case moving forward. I hope that's not the case with Halo. I hope that's not the case with freaking Horizon Forbidden West.
It sounds like we just have to have two different versions of the game.
Yeah.
We can't have a downscaling version. It's just you have to have the version that can play on Xbox One, and then you have to have the ultimate version, which I wish could just be, and I'm sure it's not this simple. I wish it could just be you make the PC version, and then the Xbox Series X and PS5 play that version, and then you make the lesser Xbox One PS4 version.
Yeah, I feel like this game is from 5 years from now. Like I'm that impressed by it, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, that's why it's not able to run. I mean, it's just like the Switch port where you're like, oh, I see what they're doing here. The Switch just can't quite do it. And I'm just like,
I just wish this was a launch game. I wish this was a PS5 Series X game. Unfortunately,
yes.
It's just like, if you want to play this, I'm sorry, you just need next gen hardware.
Yeah, it's like
it's that awesome. It's worth it.
Refunded.
Can you imagine if this had only played on Xbox Series X, S, and PS5? That would have boosted all those consoles a lot more.
Yeah,
just said, look, like we're aiming really high with this game, which they obviously were, and you're just gonna have to buy next gen. I think a lot more people would have been pushed to it.
There would be a lot of people who are disappointed, but this wouldn't have happened, and this is far worse.
These consoles are not unreachably expensive.
No.
$500 is not insane, and $300 is very, very reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, exactly. For instance, I'm saying that I feel like I'm playing a downscaled version, but if this was optimized for this console, I feel like, one, this is I'm playing an acceptable version of the game. This is acceptable. It runs. It freaking runs. It isn't dipping below. I had
one person fall through the floor. That's the only other thing I had. I shot a guy in the face, and then all of a sudden I could just see the top of his head sticking out from down beneath my feet. Like, well, that's weird.
There's only one thing that happened to me so far. We were driving. It was when what's his face was driving me back to the apartment, and he was like, "All right, man, see you later." And as he pulled in, he was like into another car, and he didn't even. He was like, "Well, see you later." My car. But yeah, it's 100% playable and fine. But I think if how the game runs on Series S was how it ran on PS4 and Xbox One, I don't think we'd have a lot of complaints. I think people would be like, okay, this is fine. Yeah. This is sticking to 30 frames. It's not dipping below 720 or anything like crazy like that, which I'm hearing of these stories of the PlayStation and the Xbox One dipping like close to standard definition with its dynamic resolution. It's just like
at least 720. Yeah.
That hurts.
It's crazy. That's what the 360 played at.
That hurts.
Oh,
Oof. But yeah. I mean, and we'll continue to play this game, obviously, but man, and this is going to continue to be a controversy for the weeks to come, but I don't know what could change. They said, "Oh, and we will release a patch in January and then another in February that will fix these." That's 3 months away. Or that's so far from now.
honestly, I'd say if you just really want to play this game and you love it, buy a new console.
Yeah, or wait. Or just wait. I know that sucks, but do you want your first
But
experience
it plays
to be like
great
that?
on the new console, and you're
Yeah.
going to get the next gen version of it as smart delivery. So
Mhm.
just buy a new console. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
You might just have to also wait until you're able to find
At
one,
least
to
grab a
locate
Series
one.
X. It's $300. Like, come on.
Yeah. Exactly. So
Not that bad.
that might be what you have to do. That, or I don't know, cuz honestly, I don't think that they even said that in their little attempted mea culpa where they said, "But don't expect the base consoles to look like next gen." Which, sure, that's reasonable expectations, but the fact that they have to say that means it's not going to improve that
They
much on
won't
the
make the
visual
game
area.
on last gen look like it's running on a high end PC or next gen console, but will be closer to that experience than it is now.
Hmm.
That's what they said.
Man, they have a long way to go with those. Holy crap.
And you gotta think too with how bad these problems are. It's like, can you fix these?
Yeah.
Some of these, yeah, they're clearly like glitches. Like Fallout 4, it was stuff that it was like you should be able to fix this. Like somebody getting stuck in a wall or something. Like you should be able to like do something where you can't get to that spot where you get stuck.
Yeah.
But
If it
when the
hitches
frames
here
are
and there.
dipping, it's just because the game's so big.
Yeah. If it's dipping that badly and you're having to lower the resolution that much to try to accommodate for that, I'm sorry. I don't know how you fix that. I really don't. I mean, good Lord. At least not to the point where it would be enough.
Yeah. And you
Man.
have some games that have come out and look so great. I mean, I've heard these reports of what The Last of Us 2 looked like. So it's like you have games that show that they can use that last gen hardware and use it really well.
Yeah.
So
It's like an optimization thing. I don't know. I mean, maybe they weren't
yeah.
prepared to make a game for that many consoles at once. As like we said, it's like 8 different versions of the
But
game.
this is the last gen version. So it's like it should work on those consoles. Like we're just using the back compat on our next gen consoles to even
Yeah.
play this. So
Yeah, for sure. It's very interesting how like there's something there that like in the next gen consoles or within the code that recognizes the fact that it's being played on a next gen console and like kind of gives you a little bit more. It's interesting.
I guess it's that free frame rate thing where it's
Yeah,
able to just adjust.
very
The
interesting.
resolution's still low. I'm still disappointed in that. I know what
Yeah.
it could be. Not there.
Yeah, the resolution is probably for me definitely the most disappointing on the S. I mean, the fact that it sometimes dips below 1080, I'm like, especially when you're
You
playing it on a
notice that?
big.
I don't
Yeah,
notice it that low.
no, it's not gonna be that low for you. For the X, it's not gonna be that low. For the S, yeah, I'm experiencing a little bit.
It shouldn't be though. I
Yeah,
wouldn't think that
no,
it should be for the S.
it shouldn't.
Being that this is a last gen console version, I would think that the S, if anything, would play it much better.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's better than the one in the One X. I think even, especially in the
Yeah,
frame rate department.
but you definitely have a better console than the One X, so I
Yeah.
don't get it.
I don't know, man. But anyways, shoot. We went on so long about that. Oops. There's so much to talk about. We'll probably have to make it a little short and probably talk about some of this other stuff
Yeah.
more extensively at a later time at least. But the Game Awards, we watched the Game Awards. That was fun.
Yep.
I enjoyed that.
Just go through some of these things quickly.
Yeah,
I
let's
mean,
just
because
go-
it's really just like, oh, this is cool. This got announced. 'Cause there really wasn't a lot of detail for a lot of these things. It was just teaser trailers, and it's like, oh, they're bringing that back, or oh, they're doing that.
Mhm.
Um, so I'll hit some of the ones that I
Yeah, go for it.
see on the list. I mean, Perfect Dark is like the big one.
That
So
was huge.
that's what the initiative's been working on. They've been teasing that the initiative is going to create this massive. They said triple quad A, like it's going to be like this huge production value game.
Do we need another A?
We'll see. We'll see what that means.
Mhm.
But I mean, at least that's what the guys on the podcast said. I don't know if that's actually what Xbox said.
Is that their marketing?
So yeah, the Initiative is the studio that Xbox put together as their biggest studio for their biggest games.
Mm.
So they're bringing back Perfect Dark, if people
Yep.
didn't understand that from what I was saying, and it's apparently going to be, at least from what the trailer looked like, all new, modern, and look futuristic version of Perfect Dark. And I've only played a little bit of Perfect Dark. I think I've only played a little bit of the 360 game, which I've heard is bad. I didn't like it. So, but apparently a lot of people like this game on
Yeah.
64. I never played it back on 64, so
Me either. It was the
I don't
same
really know,
engine
but
as the GoldenEye game, so it was the exact
yeah,
same like game engine as that.
they were like the first two competing first-person shooters.
Mhm.
So
Both made
that's
by
really
Rare.
cool. I'm excited that it's like this huge game coming from a Microsoft studio.
Mhm.
We kind of been waiting to see these studios start pumping out things, and I think the Initiative has probably had the longest time to work of all the studios. A lot of these studios only got bought not that long ago. The Initiative's been around a little longer. So yeah, be interesting to see what that turns into.
The name, if it is called Perfect Dark, the name it does scream to me as, okay, if you've never played Perfect Dark and you've never played Perfect Dark Zero Mission, I don't forget what it's called, but you'll be fine. That's what it feels like to me. That it's like, okay, we're kind of rebooting it.
Yeah. BioWare announced that I guess there's a new Mass Effect game. All they put on there was the next Mass Effect. Mass
Yeah.
Effect will continue. So that's interesting. This is another series I think you and I both are just not really never have been into,
Mhm.
but I think we're both very intrigued by Mass
Yeah,
Effect.
it just never happened for me. It's not
I
that I
yeah.
saw it and said no. It's that it just didn't happen. And so now that this remake or remaster or whatever collection's coming out, this is a great opportunity for us.
Every time I've heard people talk about it, it's like, man, I wish I'd played that back in the day,
Yeah.
because I think it would have made me much more of a fan of the stuff now. Because I think it can be very hard for somebody like say that they weren't a fan in 2001 of Halo to go back to Halo now and be like, well, this just looks like a really old game.
Yeah.
Because even if you got the up-res version of Halo now, it still is so dated compared to modern games that you just wouldn't appreciate it at all compared to how you would. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Mass Effect is that old. I think it's like what, 360? First one on.
Yep. 360. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's still like older games, but yeah, I just don't know that I'll appreciate it. But I am interested to try the remastered, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll
Same.
get to play that at some point, hopefully on Game Pass or something. So yeah, always interested in what BioWare is doing. But yeah, I don't know if they're the same company that made like Knights of the Old Republic, but still, they have some talent. So the other
100%.
one was Arc 2. This is the most insane trailer I've ever seen for a video game in my life. This is just ridiculous.
Did it just scream to you? Were you seeing it and you're like, it looks good, but like as visually, I mean, but something's wrong. You know what I mean? Did it strike you that way where like certain things would happen and like something feels wrong to me? I don't know what it is.
I was very impressed by the cinematics, but I assume that none of that is going to be what it looks like when you're playing it.
I'd imagine not. Having
It looked very
seen,
pre-rendered.
having
They
seen
always say
footage from
in
the first
engine,
one.
but it's like in engine on a 3080 Ti. It's like, yeah, okay. In engine on a $1,500 graphics card, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, Vin Diesel,
Vinny
Arc
D.
2, so strange. Fighting monsters and dinosaurs. I've played a little bit of Arc. Honestly, it was so buggy when I tried to play it on my Xbox One that I just stopped playing. I guess because it's just that popular. Like I was looking down the list and like so many of the servers are just full of players. So I'm sure there's a game there that's really cool, but it's hard when it's buggy.
It's one
like
of those
we've been talking
poorly
about.
optimized games, from what I hear.
Oh.
That's hard to make it run good.
Yeah, made for PC, I guess. So
it's one of the worst. From what I hear, it's one of the worst Switch ports ever. From what I've heard and seen.
maybe we don't have to put everything on Switch.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe. Don't bother.
Yeah. Maybe a small like console that's that small can't handle the things that are made for like tower PCs.
Yeah, if it's gonna run like Tyrannosaurus feces, then maybe.
Yeah, maybe we focus on the Nintendo made games that are optimized for it.
Yeah, maybe.
Dragon Age, that was interesting. New Dragon Age game. Another series I just have never been into, but I don't know. I'll probably try Inquisition. It got Game of the Year the year it came out. I think it was 2015, and it's on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass.
I probably should try it. But yeah, another BioWare thing. So yeah, they always create some crazy things. Callisto Protocol, that was weird alien looking game.
I don't even remember
like
this one.
It's a sci-fi horror where the guy's like trapped in the corner and this giant like alien looking monster like traps him, looks like he's about to eat his face off.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know.
Yeah. He's like in prison. He's like, "Hey buddy, where are you?"
Yeah. The graphics looked really good on that. So
yeah, it did look really good.
Yeah. I think one of the ones that got me the most excited was the Left 4 Dead successor, Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, I thought for the whole time I was like,
Rock.
"Oh, it's Left 4 Dead." Like I looked at it, I was like, "Oh, it's Left 4 Dead," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Nope. Yeah.
But yes.
And I really didn't like Left 4 Dead 2 when I played it back in the day. Wasn't a big fan, but trailer looked pretty cool.
Yeah, it really did.
First-person shooter against zombies with a team of 4. Could be really neat. Yeah, definitely interested. The other reviews are, see what they price it at. But yeah, looks really interesting. Jordan, there was a Super Smash Brothers announcement. I think you should talk about this.
Yeah, if there was a camera on me, I mean, like honestly, if I was being recorded, it would have been one of those videos. Like seriously, like I get hype for Super Smash Brothers announcement. There's another level to it when it's a live event. It's just like it's not just like I'm playing a video and I'm like, oh my god, what is it? And this trailer got me more hyped than anything ever before. One, because I had no idea who it was going to be. No idea. And the fact that this video was so well produced, like the CGI trailer was just so good. And then when I heard the first...
I think I missed this. I didn't get to see this live.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's so good. And then when
Was this early on in this show?
I think it was the very first announcement.
I turned it on a little late.
And like right when you hear the first notes of the Sephiroth thing, I was like, oh, Sephiroth! Like I was like, what? What? Like Amber, I think was a little concerned when she was watching me. I was like standing up and all that stuff, but that was worth it for me. I was like, oh, show's amazing. The show was amazing because they were able to show me that, even if it was at the beginning. But very, very hyped, and I continue to be hyped about that. And I was just reeling over it the entire time.
Yeah.
So cool. Freaking Sephiroth and Final Fantasy VII. Like, Amber is a fan of Final Fantasy VII, but I was freaking out.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
The A Way Out developer, Hazelight, showed off their game It Takes Two, which I thought looked really cool. What is that dude's name?
No one knows.
Crazy moment where he came up screaming.
The Oscars.
Yeah, thought I could remember it, but I can't. But yeah, I think he has an interesting style to the way he develops games, and he really likes to make these co-op experience games, and this really awesome thing that EA lets him do where it's a partner pass where you buy it and the second person gets a second copy so you both can play it. And especially right now in a time when a lot of people are stuck at home, I kind of wish he had brought this out at the beginning of the year. This is slated for March 26th, and man, if this had hit March 26th on 2020, I think it would have done really good.
Absolutely.
He may be a little late next year.
Maybe. I thought this one looked really good.
It's a really cool game. Yeah.
I'm not like when I see his games like Brothers and A Way Out, they're a little bit more slower, more methodical, like team up kind of things. But with this, it seems a lot faster, like almost a little bit more of a platformy element to it. It looks a lot of fun. It's really good looking, a really interesting art style. Actually, I'm actually interested in this one, so maybe we might have to team up on this one, Luke.
Joseph Ferris.
I did not expect
really
that to be his name.
Yeah, it looked awesome. So, Master Chief's coming to Fortnite. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Are you gonna try it?
I don't know.
Nah, you're not gonna try it.
I just don't really like Fortnite. Never
Yeah.
have, probably never will.
It's one of those games where I like, for me, I'm like, I wish I liked this so much.
I know. I love how the quality of life is just so high, and Epic's done such a good job of teaming up with so many different properties, kind of like Smash Brothers does,
Yeah.
and the Walking Dead, Michonne, and who's the
Daryl.
other guy? Daryl. Yeah, they're coming to Fortnite too, which is it's really cool. I think it's weird,
That's
all these
weird.
properties
So weird.
teaming up with Fortnite, but it's really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess they have so many properties. I mean, who really cares at this point? There's not like some canon they need to stick to with Fortnite. So
No.
who really cares? Just bring them all in. Where's Mickey Mouse? Come on. I don't know. They've done Marvel characters. Why couldn't they do Disney characters?
Maybe. I'm not gonna put it past them.
As long as Mr. Disney's on board. And the big announcement of the night is that Game of the Year went to Last of Us 2.
Yep.
Oh.
You know, I saw it coming, but you know, I think it deserves it in my opinion. I mean, like, it's one of those things. I think I enjoy Ghost of Tsushima a little more, but as far as quality, it's very much debatable which one's better. But yeah, Last of Us 2 it's a pretty genius game. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not disappointed by that at all.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, it sounds like they did a lot of great things with the story, so it's really cool. The one thing I was gonna say, the weirdest game won something. I'm not finding the list. What was the? It was multiplayer game of the year. Was the one?
What was it?
Oh, it was like you could tell that the guy who won was like, wait, what? He was like taking a drink when they like announced it. He's like, wait, what? Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, was it Among Us?
Oh, was it?
It may have been. I don't know.
I don't know why. And it was nobody has just a simple list of the winners here.
I know. Shout out to No Man's Sky for winning best ongoing game.
Oh yeah.
Well deserved, and I'm very happy to see that, like, almost like vindication almost. That's really cool.
Yeah. What a 360, or I guess 180 that game is done.
Well, back to start.
Well, back to the start in a good way.
Yeah,
right?
there we go.
So I finally found a list. So Game of the Year, Last of Us Part 2. Game Direction, Last of Us Part 2. Art Direction. No, Game Direction. Sorry. Most anticipated game was Elden Ring. I thought
that shocked me.
It was interesting. Yeah. We're talking God of War sequel. The page keeps moving. Horizon Forbidden West, Halo Infinite, Resident Evil Village, Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. Like, what?
Yeah,
those are all games that are like super. Maybe not Resident Evil Village, that looks interesting, but not compared to God of War sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, Halo Infinite, Legends of Zelda sequel. Like, what? Those games are going to be crazy big.
Too packed. It split the vote too much.
So weird. Last of Us Part 2 also won for narrative. Art direction was Ghost of Tsushima. I'm really just saying all this because I wanted to find
that one you were
that
thinking
one
of.
that was so weird. Hades won indie game.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. I need to play that game.
Same, big same.
Everybody goes on and on about it.
You gotta play it. Yeah, we do.
Oh, this page is like not optimized at all.
While you're looking through that,
struggling.
What did you think of Crimson Desert?
Yeah, you and I were texting about that. It looked really awesome.
I was like,
very
whoa.
fantastical fantasy world that just has incredible graphics. I mean, they had those like fields with the tall grass and the wheat like moving. Reminded me a little bit of that game on Xbox that's like super fast first person shooter where they showed like you're in like a tornado while you're like playing.
Wait, what?
What was it? Like Infinite something. Got this weird name. It's like Japanese art style first person shooter. Like a smaller, I think they said one person had created it.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. They
Xbox
showed it at the show. Yeah, I remember this. Yes.
Yeah, it just reminded me of that, how there was like a lot going on kind of to show off like the horsepower of the next gen consoles.
A lot. I was like, holy crap, man. That yeah, it looks crazy. And like when he started flying on the dragon, I was like, okay, this looks. What is this?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
crazy.
Giant world below with the
Yeah,
dragon. Yeah. That
in
looks
such
really neat.
detail. Oh my god.
Yeah. Among Us was the winner against Animal Crossing,
Which is
Call of
weird.
Duty Warzone, Fallout Guys Ultimate Knockout, and Valorant.
Hmm. Okay.
Valorant. Whatever. So yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot about Among Us. It's cool. I've played one game on my phone, and it was interesting, but it's almost such a small little indie game. It feels like you're playing a board game. It feels like you're playing a board game version or
That's
like a
funny.
video game version of a board game, which is fine. But I mean, Animal Crossing, I thought, I don't know, I just heard so much about it. It just seemed like it blew up. And
Yeah.
of course, in my world, Call of Duty Warzone is like everything. It's like, I thought it was just the best.
With Animal
Large
Crossing, the multiplayer
multiplayer.
aspect is kind of, I'll say, a great game, but the multiplayer aspect is secondary, I would say.
Well, I thought Warzone should have won in my world because I think that's the best thing first person shooters have had in a long time. Just the most fun. Especially, it's like, to me, the pinnacle of the battle royale. It's just Warzone's as good as it's ever going to get. I think at this point we're kind of like reached the pinnacle and like we're kind of leaving that franchise behind.
Yeah,
that idea behind.
Probably, I would say you're stopped to see, like, there hasn't been as many announcements of these things
for
coming
newer
out.
ones. Yeah,
until I think everyone's kind of realized it.
Yeah. One I was really excited about was that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 reboot
Best
got one
sports
racing game of the year.
That's great.
Over Dirt 5, F1 2020, FIFA 21, NBA 2K 21. That is just amazing. I never thought when that announcement was happening that game was going to win. I was like, I said it out loud. I'm like, Tony Hawk, come on, Tony Hawk. And then they won. I was just,
yes.
I was over the moon. That's so awesome. I'm so glad that Tony Hawk got that recognition. Like, he has collaborated with Activision and made some great games over the years. And I really love the reboot. So, it was a small thing that it just didn't seem like made big wakes, but I hope he made some good money off that because that man's he's a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun show. I had fun. I always enjoy watching these. I mean, like, it was nice because we didn't really get a true E3. I mean, we had some like showcases that were like 45 minutes to an hour, but nothing that felt
bunch of Zoom calls, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and while this wasn't to scale as, with the live audience, it still felt like an event. I had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah, it did.
Kudos to Jeff Keighley. He's doing a bang up job on these things.
He is, yeah. He did a good job hosting.
Real quickly, we're probably gonna talk about this in depth next week, but Disney had their investors meeting where they basically announced the world. They said, okay, here are a million things we're going to announce.
Show you the world.
Yeah, exactly.
In this board meeting right now.
So there's a ton of stuff. We'll probably bring it up to next week. Even though I was going to talk to you about this, I want to focus on Christmas next week because it'll pretty much be our last episode before Christmas time. So
Christmas time.
But yeah, a lot of stuff. Holy crap! We saw the trailer for Loki. Shout out to that. We have a friend who works on that show, and it's looking fantastic. So very excited to see the result of that. Whoop, indeed. But yeah, a lot of great stuff. A lot of insane announcements for Star Wars. Goodness gracious. And but yeah, we'll talk all about it, or at least some about it next week if we don't remember.
We won't.
Anyways, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it, and we'll be making Christmas next week.
We will indeed.
Yeah, but anyways,
thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.